In the heart of the Cascade Mountains, a story of unexpected connection unfolded, challenging our understanding of the delicate balance between human compassion and wild nature. On a crisp spring afternoon, Daniel Carter, a 46-year-old wildlife photographer and ecological researcher, pedaled along his favorite mountain trail. The scent of pine and wild herbs filled the air, offering a welcome respite from his demanding career. As he climbed a steep incline, an unusual sound caught his attention, a fragile cry that pierced the mountain silence. Instinct took over as Daniel cautiously approached the source of the sound, binoculars in hand. He was acutely aware that this was mountain lion territory, home to a predator he deeply respected. What he discovered beneath a fallen tree trunk left him stunned. A tiny mountain lion cub, thin and trembling with an oddly bent hind leg. The cub's weak cries echoed through the forest, but no mother appeared, even as Daniel waited until dusk. That night, in his lakeside cabin, Daniel couldn't shake the memory of those plaintive cries. He understood nature's harsh realities. Defective offspring were sometimes abandoned. But when he returned the next morning to find the cub still alone and weaker, he faced an impossible choice. Wildlife centers were overwhelmed with help weeks away. In a moment that would change both their lives, Daniel gently wrapped the cub in his jacket and placed her in his bike basket. He named her Aurora, after the mountains where he'd found her. The first days were fraught with uncertainty. Aurora refused to eat and trembled at Daniel's presence. He kept his distance, quietly placing formula nearby and speaking in soft, calming tones. By the third day, desperation led him to call Dr. Elena Foster, a trusted wildlife veterinarian. Though shocked by the situation, she arrived with supplies and vital knowledge. Elena determined that Aurora was about 6 weeks old, malnourished, and suffering from a mild leg deformity. She taught Daniel how to syringe feed the cub and recognize signs of stress. Before leaving, she offered a crucial warning. This isn't a kitten. Aurora will always be wild. Don't mistake trust for taming. Daniel took Elena's words to heart. He built trust slowly, sitting near Aurora's box, reading aloud, and allowing her to adjust at her own pace. After a week, she accepted food from him. 2 weeks later, she licked his finger, a moment that nearly brought him to tears. As Aurora grew stronger, Daniel adapted his life to accommodate her needs, converted a shed into a den, and fenced a larger outdoor run. She thrived in this environment, chasing birds, pouncing on shadows, and greeting Daniel with surprising affection. However, the challenges of raising a wild predator soon became apparent. Her growing appetite strained his finances, and her play became increasingly dangerous. A careless swipe left bloody scratches on Daniel's arm, a stark reminder of her true nature. Despite these difficulties, their bond deepened. Daniel kept a private journal, part scientific observation and part personal reflection. Documenting Aurora's growth and their unique relationship, the winter months proved especially challenging. Too young to survive in the wild, Aurora relied on Daniel's heated den and hidden fences for protection. By spring, Aurora had transformed from a fragile cub into a lithe adolescent with piercing yellow eyes. Her wild instincts grew stronger, and one evening Daniel returned home to find the fence shattered and Aurora gone. After a frantic search, he found her at dawn standing over a freshly killed deer. Her muzzle was stained red, her eyes fierce with primal energy. Yet when she saw Daniel, she offered her familiar low greeting, a moment that encapsulated her dual nature as both wild predator and his Aurora. The illusion of their secret world shattered when a patrol truck arrived. Ranger Claire Whitman confronted Daniel, who, under pressure, confessed to his actions. He braced himself for severe consequences: fines, charges, even imprisonment. Instead, Claire surprised him with her response. After observing Aurora, who showed wariness but no aggression, she said softly, "She's not wild enough to release, not tame enough to keep. But she deserves more than a cage." Claire's report recommended an unexpected solution: a pilot program combining sanctuary and education. It provided Daniel fully committed to the project. Without hesitation, he agreed. Selling his cabin and emptying his savings, Daniel purchased 50 hectares at the base of the mountain. With Elena's expertise and a team of biologists, he built a sanctuary where Aurora could roam freely within vast enclosures. As Aurora matured, so did their relationship. Daniel rarely touched her now, their bond evolving into a quiet recognition, trust without possession. His private journal transformed into a website, filled with photos and reflections on their journey. Public interest grew rapidly. Students visited the sanctuary, donations poured in, and an education center was established on the property. Critics argued that this blurred the line between wild and domestic animals. Daniel acknowledged these concerns, emphasizing that Aurora's case was an exception, never to be seen as a precedent for keeping wild animals as pets. The sanctuary's story took an unexpected turn, with the arrival of Wilder, a massive wild male cougar drawn by Aurora's scent. After careful consideration, Daniel allowed Wilder into the sanctuary through a one-way gate. To everyone's relief, Aurora and Wilder developed a cautious companionship. Months later, Aurora gave birth to 2 cubs. Daniel observed from afar, as she proved to be a devoted mother. Experts determined that the bold male cub, named Orion, could be successfully reintroduced to the wild. The female cub, Lyra, bonded closely with Aurora and grew accustomed to human presence, making her a natural candidate to remain at the sanctuary and continue its educational mission. 5 years after hearing that first fragile cry beneath a fallen tree, Daniel stood on a hilltop at sunset, reflecting on the extraordinary journey that had transformed him from a solitary man with a secret to the director of an internationally respected conservation center. Below him, Aurora, Wilder, and Lyra moved like living shadows among the pines. Aurora paused, her gaze meeting Daniel's. In her eyes he saw no domestication, no submission, only recognition. She turned, leading her family back into the trees. Daniel felt a profound sense of peace wash over him. What began as an act of compassion for one fragile life had grown into something far greater, a testament to the possibility of coexistence between humans and wild animals, not through taming nature, but by honoring its inherent wildness and beauty. The story of Daniel and Aurora became a powerful narrative of partnership rather than possession. It served as a poignant reminder that in the fragile borderlands between human society and wilderness, extraordinary connections can flourish when guided by mutual respect and understanding.